Boker Tov, Shabbat Shalom, page 141.
Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov. Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov.
Page 151 and following, we start with an ethical and interpersonal grounding, and then we get spiritual to sustain our work in the world. 151.
V'shem yidchu k'lev yachukhu yishchintai kinini muchanu mizuman lekabel alai mitzvot asishem v'yahavta lecha kamocha u'v'yizchot ze'eftach vi.
Traditional to rise, but follow your own custom.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Chalamim Hanavir Shana me'enai Utnukma me'afapai.
Amen. Baruch atah Eloheinu Chalamim Hanotenet l'sechvi vina lavchin beini u'bein layla.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Chalamim Hulka aretz al hamayim.
Amen. 157. Baruch atah Eloheinu Chalamim Pokachat ivreim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Chalamim Malbish arumim.
Amen. Baruch atah Eloheinu Chalamim Matira asurim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu חלמים זוקף כפופים.
אמן. ברוכה את, יא אלוהינו חלמים, המכינה מצעדי גבר.
אתה אדוננו חלמים שעשה לכל צורכי.
אמן. ברוכה את, יא אלוהינו חלמים, עוזרת ישראל בגבורה.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוננו חלמים, עוטר ישראל בתפארה.
אמן. 161. ברוכה את, יא אלוהינו חלמים, שעשתני בצלמה.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוננו חלמים שעשני בת חורי.
אמן. ברוכה את, יא אלוהינו חלמים, שעשתני ישראל.
ברוך אתה אדוננו חלמים, הנותן ליעף כוח.
Amen. You may be seated. Got it? And? Page 177, continuing in this theme that God is bigger than our ability to comprehend. God is bigger than any box of gender or other human construct can possibly contain. So just the opening line on page 177, perhaps coming in the chat as well. Blessed is God and blessed is God's name in the masculine and in the feminine, because God is the one who mythically or actually spoke, and suddenly the world came into being. It kind of is enough to blow your mind. So we go out of our constructs, we go out of what we think we know, we go out of the tame and into the sacred, which is wild and powerful and holy and connects us all. 177. Baruch hu, Baruch Shemo, Bruchahi, Baruch Shema, 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 Baruch Shema, Vehaya ha'olam, Baruch she'amar vehaya ha'olam, Baruch she'amar vehaya ha'olam, Baruch she'amar vehaya ha'olam, Baruch hu, Baruch Shemo, Bruchahi, Baruch Shema, Baruch hu, Baruch Shemo, Bruchahi, Baruch Shema, Baruch hu, Baruch Shemo, Bruchahi, Baruch Shema, Baruch hu, Baruch Shemo, Bruchahi, Baruch Shema. Sam? I am. Now. Page 209 and 211. This community, everyone gathered on screen. Hope you can enjoy gallery view. I'm sorry that we can't, but blessings to all. And those gathered here, and even the Andercast family itself. We are all hybrids of different sort of influences. And so it feels appropriate on page 209 and 211, the Psalm for the Sabbath day has the chance for an opening melody from the Reformed tradition, a renewal/reconstructionist chant in the middle, and then a traditional, particularly popular in Masorti communities, conclusion. So if I missed your particular flavor of Judaism, I apologize, but we do strive to be inclusive. Shabbos should bring us together. Page 209. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, להגיד חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בכינור. מזמור שיר ביום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. כי שימחתני אדוני בפועלך, ומעשה ידיך אהנן. מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני, מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. That last line, Magadlu, so good, it bears repeating. Hallelujah, 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 Magadlu, Maasechaya, hallelujah, 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 time. Hallelujah. 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 And on page 211, the last 4 lines. Tzadik katamar yifrach ke'erez balvanon yizkeh sheturim beveit Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu Yafrichu Od Yenuvim Beseva Deshenim Verananim Yiyu Lahagid Ki Yashar Adonai Suhi Velo Avrata Bo.
Page 231, Psalm 150. Kol haneshama tehallel Hallelujah. Kol haneshama tehallel Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah b'kodsho, Hallelujah b'kielu zo, Hallelujah b'gvurotav, Hallelujah kirov gudlo, Hallelujah b'tek hashofar, Hallelujah b'nevel v'chinor, Hallelujah b'tof u'machol, Hallelujah b'minim ve'ugav, Hallelujah b'tziltzele shama, Hallelujah b'tziltzele teruah, kol haneshama tehallel ya hallelujah, kol haneshama tehallel ya hallelujah.
Turning to page 249.
241?
241, I'm so sorry, 241, for the last part of Shochenad. Na'alecha u'nshabecha u'nfarecha, baרך et shem kodshecha kamo leDavid, barechi nafshi et Adonai v'chol kavai et shem kodsho. Haya b'tatmu zecha gadol v'chivot, שמך גיבור לנצח ונורא בנורתך, מלך היושב על כיסא רם ונישא,
שוכנה מרום וקדוש שמו,
צדיקים בעלמי ישרים בתהילה, בפי שרים תתרומם ובדברי צדיקים תתברך, ובלשון חסידים תתקדש, ובקרב קדושים תתהלל,
ובמקלות רבבות עמך בית ישראל.
להודות להלל לשבח לך, לרומם להדר לברך, ללסו כלס על כל דברי שירות ותשבחות דוד בן ישי,
וחמשך ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו.
ברכות והודות מעתה ועד עולם, ברוך אתה אדוני, אל מלך גדול ותשבחות, אל הודעות אדון הנפלאות, הבוחר בשירי זמרה, מלך אל חיי העולמים.
Page 245.
יקרב יקרא שמר אבא, ועמד ורחירותי וימלך מלכותי, בחיי חול ויומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה וזמן קריב אמרו אמן.
אמן.
יהי שמר אבא מבורך, לעולם לא מהמיה, יתברך ישתבח יפר ויתרומם ויתנשא, יסדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמר קודשה, ברכו לעולמים כל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה, ונחמת אדם רם בעלמה ואמרו
Amen. 247, we rise if we're not yet. Baruchu et Adonai hamvorach. Baruch Adonai hamvorach. Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם יוצר אור ובורא חושך עושה שלום ובורא את הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם יוצר אור ובורא חושך עושה שלום ובורא את הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם יוצר אור ובורא חושך עושה שלום ובורא את הכל. Page 257.
If you don't know this, just sing along to L'chaye Olamim, shouting this out to the life of all worlds. If you can follow the acrostic, please join us.
לחי עולמים הבינה והברכה לחי עולמים הגדולה והגדולה לחי עולמים הדעה והדיבור לחי עולמים יאללה 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 לחי עולמים אהבה ותיקות לחי עולמים הזוך והזוחל לחי עולמים החיים והחוסן לחי עולמים יאללה 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 תכס והתוהל לחי עולמים האיחוד והיראה לחי עולמים הכתר והכבוד לחי עולמים הלקח והליבוב לחי עולמים יאללה 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 המלוכה והממשלה לחי עולמים הגואל והנצח לחי עולמים הסגואל והשגב לחי עולמים העוז והנבא לחי עולמים יאללה 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 הבדות והפאר לחי עולמים הצבי והצדק לחי עולמים הקריאה והקדושה לחי עולמים הרון והרוממות לחי עולמים יאללה 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 השיר והשבח לחי עולמים התהילה והתפארת לחי עולמים השיר והשבח לחי עולמים התהילה והתפארת לחי עולמים יאללה יאללה Last two lines on page 269.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Sorry. So we are, in a moment, we'll go to page 269 to conclude the Yotzer prayer. And this is where our tradition keeps accreting additional songs and poems to appreciate our place in the splendor of the natural world. A theme in this family, a theme in this community, and a theme that is going to be lifted up by some of the newest members of the extended family, with Mazel Tov on the recent wedding of Ben and Ashley Cass. If you would please join us. A beautiful reading from the late poet Mary Oliver, which actually appears in the Reconstructionist Machzor, though not in the Shabbat, so I can't give you the page number. This is a summer day, and it ends after an immersion in nature with perhaps the most important question that we can hear. Only this mic is working, sorry.
So this is The Summer Day by Mary Oliver. Who made the world?
Who made the swan and the black bear?
Who made the grasshopper?
This grasshopper, I mean.
The one who has flung herself out of the grass.
The one who is eating sugar out of my hand.
Who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down.
Who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eye.
Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face.
Now she snaps her wings open and floats away.
I don't know exactly what a prayer is.
I don't know how to pay attention, how to fall down.
Into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass.
How to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields.
Which is what I've been doing all day.
Tell me, what else should I have done?
Doesn't everything die at last and too soon?
Tell me, what is it you plan to do?
With your one wild and precious life.
What is it that you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Page 269.
Last two lines. אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכחו לנו במהרה לאורו. אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכחו לנו במהרה לאורו. אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכחו לנו במהרה לאורו. אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכחו לנו במהרה לאורו. ברוך אתה אדוני יוצא מאורו.
Page 273, the next of the blessings that surround the Shema, we move to the theme of love. And though Valentine's Day is not a traditional Jewish observance, it is coming up this week. And we meditate for a moment on love, that it's not just that love of the moment that rises. Love is at its best something that taps us into something divine, something eternal, something that goes beyond the object of your love and infuses all of us. May this Valentine's week have a little more love at that big picture level. God has loved us with a great love, we are taught on page 273. So we're just going to chant those first three words, Ahava Rabbah, Ahavtanu. Ahava, love, Rabbah, great love, Ahavtanu, you have loved us. And only in a moment, when we invite Aaron to join us, as I will on my cue in about 45 seconds, to lead the Shema, then the first word after the Shema is ve'ahavta. So now you shall love God. It is a two-way street. Ahava Rabbah, Ahavtanu, 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 Ahava Page 275. The last few lines leading us into the Shema. והביאנו לשלום מארבע כנפות הארץ ותוליכנו כמימיות לארצנו כי אל פועל ישועות אתה וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול סלע באמת להודות לך ולייחדך באהבה ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. Page 277.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod, Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, V'chol levavcha, v'chol nafshecha, v'chol me'odecha, v'chayu v'hadvarim ha'elech, asher Elohim tzadcha, hayom al lavecha, v'shinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha v'techa, v'techa b'derech, ובשוכבך ובקומך ובחלתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
More from Aaron soon. A moment to continue on our own, the second and third paragraphs of the Shema, while I welcome Jen out and
ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר בני ישראל ואמרת אליהם, יעשו לכם ציצית, על כנפי בדבריהם לדורותם ונתנו ציצית, על כנף ותרתי תכלת, והיה לכם לציצית, וראיתם אותו, וצרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, אתם אותם ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם אשר אתם צאים אחריהם למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוות והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם Adonai Elohechem
Page 291, the last of the prayers surrounding this theme of unity from the Shema, that all is echad. We turn to freedom and dignity and purpose that leads us into the central standing prayer. So partway through this, we will rise, 3 stanzas out loud, 4 on our own. Page 291.
Teilot leil yom baruch u'mvorach Moshe Miriam u'bnei Yisrael lechanu shira B'simcha rabba v'amru chulam B'simcha rabba v'amru chulam Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh nora tehilot osef eleh שיר החדש שבחוג העולים לשם אחר על צבאות הים יחד כולם הודו והמלכו והמהירו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד צור ישראל קומה בעזרת ישראל ובדחינו מלכה יהודה בישראל גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו קדוש ישראל ברוך אתה אדוני
ברוך שמו
כל ישראל.
Amen.
Page 295. אדוני שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו אלוהי אברהם אלוהי שרה אלוהי יצחק אלוהי רבקה אלוהי יעקב אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא אל עליון גומר חסדים טובים וקונה הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני רב להושיע משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם מחלקל חיים בחסד מחיה כל חיים ברחמים רבים סומך נופלים ברופא חולים ומתיר אסורים ומקיים אמונתו לשני אפרת מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדום אליו מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה לחיות כל חי ברוך אתה אדוני לחיים כל חי
Amen.
Page 303 נקדש את שמך בעולם כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום ככתוב על יד נביאך וכזה אל זה ואמר קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות מלוך כל הארץ כבודו קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות מלוך כל הארץ כבודו אז בכל רעש גדול אדיר וחזק משמיעים קול מתנסים לעומת צרפים לעומתם ברוך יום מהרו ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו
במקומך מקדש תופיע ותמלוך עלינו כמחכים אנחנו
ממקומך מלכנו תופיע ותמלוך עלינו כי מחכים אנחנו לך מתי תמלוך בציון מתי תמלוך בציון, מתי תמלוך בציון, מתי תמלוך בציון. בקרוב בימינו לעולם ועד תשכון. תתגדל ותתקדש בתוך ירושלים עירך, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, ולנצח נצחים. ועינינו תראנה מלכותך, כדבר האמור בשירי עוזך. ועינינו תראנה מלכותך, כדבר האמור בשירי עוזך. ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים, כבשקתך נקדיש, קדוש שרקתך נקדיש. ושבחך אלוהינו מלכנו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. Please continue with the prayers on the following pages, or your own meditations. We'll join together at the end for the prayer for peace.
Oseh shalom bimra
shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel oseh shalom b'mromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. 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 Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol yoshvei tevel.
With huge appreciation to Martha Hare and to Mark Pastor back there, keeping it all together despite one microphone down. It should stay down. Okay, so we're only on this one. Everyone who's coming up, take note over here, which means I get to look at least the 25 of you who are in the first screen. Welcome again to everyone, distantly and present. So Martha, if you can add to the chat from Ashrei, the Psalm 145 is traditionally part of the morning. This is not the moment where it would go, but traditionally a cantor might do a repetition. And here we're going to introduce a repetition from last week that I was so excited about from the morning that I shared it with you guys, with Jen Out and Chords of Glory, because it was written by a young, queer, eco-feminist musician named Allie Halpert, who is really something, sung with her friend, who fits all those same descriptors, Batya Levine, who are sending it on the rounds. And it was written explicitly for the Big Bold Jewish Climate Festival, with the focus on connecting through our love of God to love of the earth, or perhaps going the other way, through our love of earth to begin to connect to ultimacy and to that which unites us all and the one in whose image we are all made. So please sing along and enjoy.
Ashrei yoshvei beitecha, Ashrei yoshvei beitecha, od yehalelucha, Selah. Ashrei yoshvei, Ashrei yoshvei beitecha, Ashrei yoshvei beitecha, od yehalelucha, Selah. I sing for you. I sing for what is holy and is true. I sing for all creation, for life and liberation, every day anew. Ashrei yoshvei, Ashrei yoshvei beitecha, Ashrei yoshvei beitecha, od yehalelucha, So special to be sharing this with Cheryl Hurwitz. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone behind the scenes, helping to make the community possible and mornings like this possible, including to Pam and the Wonder Out and from Chords of Glory. We are so grateful that you are here. We turn to the Torah service this morning. And since at the center of that Torah service is going to be someone who starts it as a boy and ends it as an adult, it's really amazing to watch that transformation in 22 minutes, right? We are going to call forward Iris and David along with Aaron to present him with words of blessing from the heart and with the talit that will enwrap him as he takes his place among the teachers and leaders of our community. Yes, use the mask as much as possible to here. And thank you. Yes. Aaron. Louder. Aaron. It's you, right?
Yes.
The one thing you and I talked about in this week's Torah portion is that we're commanded throughout the ages to kindle the eternal light, the Ner Tamid. And the rabbi said, those who study Torah give forth light wherever they are. Aaron, I hope you'll be a Ner Tamid. But whether you believe in God or not, Judaism has looked at the big questions for thousands of years about the meaning of life, what it means to be a good person, how we should treat our family, our friends, and people who are poor. You don't have to buy the whole lamp. I mean, what could be more Jewish than to question? But I hope you'll be open to looking at that light throughout your life to see how it might illuminate your path a little bit here and a little bit there. Just like you use mods in your favorite online game, Minecraft. May you modify Judaism and make it your own. Today you stand on the bima where your mom and I will literally hand you the Torah. Passing on our values to you. I once stood where you are today and received the Torah from my parents, as did your grandparents and great-grandparents back many generations. My wish for you is that you take your many strengths, your smarts, your sense of humor and kindness, and use the teachings of Torah to learn and to grow and to do tikkun olam, to repair the world. Because when you seek justice and you do ma'asim tovim, when you do good deeds, your life is full of meaning. Aaron, please remember that your light is stronger and more resilient than you know. May God shine her light on you and protect you. May you always remember that I love you.
Aaron, I've always been impressed with the details you notice. The sound of a humming motor or a distant bird, that you're satisfied halfway through eating an ice cream cone, that someone needs a friend. How does it feel to be 13? Doesn't that seem like a silly question? When people ask that question, we usually think about how we felt yesterday, and we feel pretty much the same today. But as a teenager, you are now a bar mitzvah, a son of the commandments, and you are mature enough to be entrusted with the responsibility of reading from the Torah. Notice the people around you who love you. Notice how it feels to be on the bima, leading the service for the congregation. Now remember where you were last year at this time. I know, staying at home like everyone else, right? When you think a whole year back, you can see changes. You've gained skills, become more confident, and made new friends. You experience the world a little differently. You might question why Jews read through the Torah scroll over and over every year. We are different people than we were when we read the same words last year. Adapting to COVID has changed us. Witnessing the suffering of others has changed us. We might interpret the story a little differently. Your parsha describes the priestly garments worn by your namesake, Aaron. We give you your first tallis to mark the occasion of your becoming a bar mitzvah. Wearing it, you will feel a little different than you do right now. Aaron, today and each time you put on this tallis, may you remember this day. May you notice how your experiences have changed you and recount the steps you've taken to make the world a little better than it was before.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher knishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hitatef b'tzitzit.
Amen.
Aaron, we still need you. We are on page 383 as Aaron helps us lead the Torah service. We are in this weird reopening phase where sometimes the masks are on, even on the bima, and to be sure, they are entirely on in the kahal, and sometimes they're off for the leader. We are not yet bringing the Torah all the way through the community. We hope to do that again soon as the numbers continue, inshallah, to fall. So we celebrate the fact that so many of us are together this way. We celebrate the fact that so many of us are together this way as well. And we celebrate a young man taking his place and helping us to lead, along with his uncle and cousin, Paul and Sabine. Please join us, page 383. Really loud to that mic.
Ein kamocha Elohim Adonai, ve'ein kamasecha, malchutam malchut kol amin, u'memshaltecha bechol dor vador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch, le'olam haba. Adonai oz le'mo yiteh, Adonai yilech et amo ha'shalom. Av ha'rachamim hetivav yitzorcha et Zion. Tivnei Yerushalayim, Tivnei Chomot Yerushalayim, Kivecha levad batachnu, Melech Elram Venisa Adoramim.
Go ahead. Still face the mic for the first part. 385 at the top.
Vayehi ben Saharon, Vayomer Moshe, Huma Adonai, Ve'afutzu oivecha, Ve'anusu mesanecha mipanecha, Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, Udvar Adonai me'Yerushalayim, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, Le'amo Yisrael, B'kadushato.
Stand near Aaron. Here we go. La Torah. Okay. Got it. Page 393. Put both arms link here. There you go. 393. Aaron will lead and we respond.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Now we face the ark. Shemo Yachdav. Lecha Adonai Hagedula, Vehagevura, Vehatiferet, Vehanetzach, Vehahod, Kichol Bashamayim Uvaret. Mazel tov. Thank you. You can have a seat. You can have a seat too. Haaretz Lecha Adonai Amam Rabbah. Amid Naaseh Lechol Lerosh. Good Shabbos. And welcome not only to the bar mitzvah of Aaron Amderkas, but to Parshat Tetzaveh. We are about 2/3 of the way through the book of Exodus today. And still the plagues and the Red Sea from just a few weeks ago are in our minds. The thunder of Sinai and the core covenants just 2 weeks ago in our cycle. And today, as Aaron will teach us very soon, the main theme of Parshat Tetzaveh is textiles. On the surface, perhaps not the richest or reddest vein to tap, but as you'll see, with powerful messages embroidered, as it were, into the clothes. Aaron will lift up quite a few ways in which, to mangle the traditional expression, clothes make the priest, or don't. I'll get us started with one very small detail from shortly before where our reading picks up. We're reading just a chunk near the end, and then Aaron reads the conclusion for us. This is in Exodus chapter 29, verse 9, if you would like to follow along. It's shortly before where our reading will be, which is when our reading begins. It's page 630 in the old Plaut, Chumash. That's the big blue book. If it just says the Torah on the cover, then it's the old. If it's got a graphic and more words on the cover, it's the new, and then it's on page 569. Go back maybe 2 pages. Exodus 29:9, and even a few verses before that, Exodus 29:5. We are in the details of those clothes. Some massive, mind-blowing minutiae where clothing is concerned. This is in many ways a parsha for people whose family lineage includes Schneider or Taylor, right? We literally have popular last names that come from either the Germanic and Yiddish or the Hebrew or the Anglo roots for clothes. You'll hear more about Jews in the Shmata business, but I'll leave that for Aaron. So we read, V'chagarta otam avnet, that you shall gird turbans or hats upon them. Aharon uvanav. We're talking about Aaron and his sons. V'chavashta lahem migvaot, and you shall gird upon them sashes or belts. So we're learning what the priestly uniform looks like. But the verse continues. So hats or turbans, sashes or belts. V'haita lahem kahuna, and the kahuna, the kohenness, the priesthood, shall be for them lechukat olam, as an eternal inheritance. Umleta yad Aharon et v'yad banav. And that is the moment of ordaining Aaron and his sons. So, okay, turbans or hats, sashes or belts, eternal priesthood, right? The sentence seems pretty straightforward, but here's the interesting thing. Why here, around belts and hats, do we introduce the permanence of the priesthood? Why would this incredibly significant thing about the priesthood, which is really the connection between God and humanity in the old days, this institution is founded at the very moment, in the very same verse, as sashes and turbans? What's the significance? Famous early modern Orthodox rabbi in 19th century Frankfurt, Shimshon Raphael Hirsch, points out that the belts and the hats of the Kohanim, the priests, and the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, were purposefully identical. Their roles were different, but each was meant to consolidate everyone's energies toward a common goal. So Torah, according to Rav Hirsch, symbolically does not speak to the priesthood writ large right next to Aaron's fancy duds. Nothing for the high priest alone. For that matter, nothing for his sons alone, who are the regular priests. As if to teach that rather than focusing on our individual roles, strengths, and situations, we should, and I'm quoting here from the Weekly Devar, lelamed.com, paraphrasing Shimshon Raphael Hirsch's interpretation of the verse, rather than focusing on individual roles, strengths, and situations, we should focus on our common goals and objectives. Focusing on what unites us rather than what divides us will ensure that we reach our goals together. That's a lot of symbolism, from belts and sashes, and where you put a period at the end of a sentence. But I'm going to take it even further, because this is what we do in the middle part of Torah, latter Exodus all the way through Leviticus and Numbers. We draw meaning from the ostensibly mundane, and we draw deep symbolism from didactic details. So think about this idea that only that which unites us is the launch pad for the big picture idea. That which divides us is real, but that's not the most generative space to be in. In Judaism, and in humanity for that matter, we are taught to find a balance between the part and the whole, the self and the group, the particular and the universal. Hillel, in the generation before Jesus over 2,000 years ago, nailed this. Im ein ani li, mili. If I am not for myself, who will be for me? I'd better be. Uchsha'ani la'atzmi ma'ani. And yet, if I am all about myself, what am I? I'm not even human. If my circle of compassion and concern ends with me or the people around me or the people like me. That dance, the part and the whole. We each, created in the divine image and bearing infinite value and infinite worth, each of us matter profoundly. And yet our own wishes and wants, our own proclivities and preferences, our own comfort and convenience, on balance, matter less than the good of the whole, the community, the nation, the world. Ours is not an ascetic tradition, but its foundation is communitarian, community first. And that's important, especially when it is countercultural, in a me first, or us first, or America first, larger prevailing culture. For us as Jews, the commonwealth matters more than personal wealth, which is why Torah is very comfortable talking about tithes and taxes, required tzedakah on top of that, and then free will nediv lev offerings on top of that. We are not to practice excessive self-denial, but nor are we to go overboard. Medieval Jews had all these great sumptuary laws. This is before mitzvah parties got, kicked it up, explicitly forbidding displays of wealth, markers of status, public lavishness, so as to yoke the poor and the rich together as one community. Personal freedom matters, but the collective good matters yet more. Something that we are each still working on, struggling to make real around, let's say, our fair share of global climate emissions, which probably for every single person in this room is way above the global sustainable mean of what would be just and what would be ethical. Even those of us who think and teach and organize around this. And sartorially, haberdashery-wise, as our Aaron is going to teach us shortly, clothes can be a form of expression. They can also be a form of oppression. If trends become norms, become expectations, which leave poor and other people on the outs. So Torah does specify some fabulous fashion accessories for the big kahuna, for Aaron, the high priest. A few lines earlier in verse 5, V'hilbashta et Aharon, you shall dress Aaron et kutonet, with the designer tunic, ve'et me'il ha'ephod, and with the robe of the ephod, which is like the Tiffany's big period piece, the amazing jewelry, right? With the ephod itself, ve'et hachoshen, and with the breastplate. Memorable pieces meant to leave an impression. But maybe it's no accident that Torah doesn't invoke the forever priesthood there. But it only speaks to the larger institution, locating holiness among the people, not next to that sharp-dressed man at the top, but instead around the simple belts and hats worn by everyone in that group. Individually, we count, but together we count even more. Shabbat Shalom. So our reading picks up shortly thereafter. Again, Exodus 29, verse 31, and thrilled to have Pam Summers, who would be here if only as Aaron's teacher and tutor, and if only as Chords of Glory organizer and conductor, and if only as friend, and you hit the trifecta. Page, again, 630 in the old plout, or the bottom of 569 in the new pagination. Amen. Ye'amdu. All of the grandparents and step-grandparents start coming on up, while I invite specifically Shoshana bat Avram v'Sara, the Moshe ben Chona v'Shena Rivka, the Chaya Sara Eshe bat Dov v'Brina, the Sarah bat Binyamin v'Beatrice, the Aliyah Rishona, Baruch Shanatan Torah le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato, ve'atem advekim l'Adonai Elohechem, Chaim kulchem hayom. At aisle, right? The at aisle. Yeah. It's right there. I'm going to close it and let your grandparents. So if you'd come over here, take a dip with your talit right there. And get under here, sorry.
Baruch Hu es Adonai Hamburach.
Baruch Adonai Hamburach.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan b'choramim v'natan et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Ve'et el hamiluim tikach uvishalta et besaro b'makom kadosh ve'achal acharon uvanav et besar ha'ayil ve'et halechem asher basal petach ochel mored ve'achlu otam asher kupar bahem lemale et yadam lekadesh otam v'zar lo yochal ki kodesh hem umin hare ve'im ha-techer mibsar hamiluim umin halechem ad haboker v'sarafta et hanotar Ba'esh lo ye'achel ki kodesh hu.
Say the blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
Asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chaye olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah. Amen.
What a tableau of three generations, Becca and Aaron and their grandparents. It is such an honor to be up here with you again. Mazel, mazel, mazel. And Yasher Koach to Becca, a alumna of this very bima. Yasher Koach.
Yasher Koach.
Okay. Come on up. Aaron is actually reading two different pieces. The first one, low key. The second one, he poof transforms into an adult before our very eyes. Yet Amdu, the proud parents, Yisrael Leah, Bata Yaakov V'Sara, the David, Ben Moshe V'Shoshana, La Aliyah Shenit. We're picking up in the story of what happens on the day of the ordination of Aaron and his sons. Leave out the sons part, and yes, you are getting ordained today. It's kind of apt. Picking up at verse 38, near the bottom of page 570 in the newer plout, or toward the top of, middle bottom of page 630 in the old. Oh, 399. Sorry. Thank you.
Baruch et Adonai Haborach.
Baruch Adonai Haborach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher karvanu lavodato, v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Ve'asita le'aharon uvanav kaha kehol asher tziviti utacha shivat yamim t'malei adam ufarhatahat ta'aseh layom al hakipurim vehiteta al hamizbeach vechapercha alav umashachta oto lekacho shivat yamim techaper al hamizbeach vekidashta oto vehaya hamizbeach kodesh kodeshim kohanogea bamizbeach yida.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Yasher Koach. And for you, David and Iris, this is your last previously scheduled aliyah for the foreseeable future. But may you be no strangers to this bima either, even as you lift your children to the community. Mazel, mazel. You can take a very short break over there. We pause in the Torah reading for the Misha Berach Lecholim. This is a moment to ask for healing upon all those who need it, all those in the world. We have often in the chat, we will say the names of our own loved ones in need of healing together with everyone suffering from the scourge of gun violence, everyone suffering from the extended storms and droughts connected to climate change, everyone suffering because we haven't done enough yet of the important work of equity and justice. And we bring it into our own hearts, holding Marty Tolchin with us, holding so many beloveds in our community and each of us. So putting names in the chat as you will, and those in the room, if you would like to stand up and in unison, just say the name or names of those that you are holding for a healing blessing. I invite you to do so now. And then we will come together in song for our Mishaberach. So together, Refuah Shlema for Chana Bat Penina, and for Marty, and for.
Please join me. Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor Chabracha Leibotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishaberach Imotenu Mekor Chabracha Labotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Thank you, Pam. Refuah Shlema, full healing to all. Aaron's Maftir reading, the conclusion of Parshat Tetzaveh, page 632 in the old edition, or 571 at the bottom in the new. This is Exodus chapter 30, verse 8. And his tutor calls him to the bima.
Yamot, habachur bar hamitzvah, Binyamin, Aharon, Binyamin, ben David, Yisrael, Leah, Maftir Chazak.
Yeah. It ends here, right? It ends with Ani Adonai Elohecha. Hold on. Oh, there's the Vasita. Okay, so it's a Ha'alot. And there we go.
First you said a blessing.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorah.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kirvanu la'avodato v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
U'ha'alot Aharon et hanerot ben ha'arbaim yaktirana ketoret tamid lifnei Adonai l'dorotechem lo ta'alu alav ketoret zara ve'olah minha ve'nesa lo tishu alav, tichiper aharon, al karnotav, ahat bashana, midam, hatat hakiparim, ahat bashana, yichaper alav, ledorotechem, Kodesh Kodeshim Hu Adonai.
Take your tongue to that spot.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tohenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yasher koach. Beautiful. And Pam, thank you for everything. You're not done yet, but you do get a 30-second break as we invite forward Abe and Karina for the lifting and dressing of the Torah. Ya'amod hamagdiya, ta'amod hagolelet. Okay, closed or open, however you're feeling. We rise in body or in spirit. Ezot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Morasha kehilat Yaakov, Morasha kehilat Yaakov, Morasha kehilat Yaakov, Torah tziva lanu Moshe. Thank you. We may be seated. As promised earlier, part of this moment is to become a teacher in our community. There has always been tremendous wisdom coming from this one, and now he takes his place among the melamdim, the instructors in our community.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
This week's Torah portion is Tisaveh from Exodus, which talks about what the high priest Aaron and his sons wore. I will talk about the meaning of clothes in ancient times, the meaning of clothes now, and historical changes in clothing.
If you want to take off your mask, you can do that now. Sorry. This whole mask thing, a little crazy. Keep going.
The Torah says that the priests wore a breastpiece, ephod, robe, tunic, and a sash with gold, blue, purple, and scarlet yarns. Why did Aaron and his sons have such fancy clothing? It wasn't because they were going to a fashion show. The clothes were to show the people that the priests were powerful. The clothes also probably made the priests feel like leaders and close to God. Why do we wear fancy clothes in modern times? Just like the priests, people wear formal suits for meetings, which can make them feel powerful. Unlike the priests, fancy clothes can also be for fun, like dressing up in formal wear for a pre-COVID New Year's Eve party. Another reason the priests might have worn these clothes was to feel they were part of a group and connected to each other. The priest's uniform might have also helped them to remind them to focus on their jobs and to be on their best behavior. In modern times, many groups also wear uniforms. For example, people in the Army, doctors, judges, and police all had uniforms. One purpose of a uniform is for people to know what their job is. If someone's wearing an army uniform, you know they're a soldier. The Torah says that on the ephod, which is like a fancy apron, the high priest Aaron wore 2 lazuli stones with the names of the 12 tribes of Israel engraved in gold. As the Torah says, thus Aaron shall carry their names before God as a remembrance. This was probably to remind him who he was supporting and that the Jewish people's fate was on his shoulders. Why else do people wear clothing? Clothes are also purely functional, for example, to stay warm in winter. Another function is covering up body parts. In Genesis chapter 3, the Torah says that people wore clothing for the first time after Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge. What we cover up has shifted a lot over the years, however. Another issue with clothes is how we pay the people who make the clothes we wear. There's a long history of terrible working conditions and low pay for garment workers, like in 1911 with the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire, where 145 people died, mostly Jewish women. This tragedy led to reforms to improve working conditions, but it's an ongoing struggle. One difference, though, between ancient times and in the present is how clothes are made. In biblical times, up until the sewing machine became widely used in the 1800s, all clothes were made by hand. A skilled person could only sew 35 stitches per minute by hand versus 400 stitches per minute with a sewing machine. This allowed clothes to be cheaply mass-produced in a variety of styles and sold off the rack rather than being custom-made. Clothing became a way for more than just wealthy people to express themselves. The downside is now we produce so much clothing that 85% of it ends up in the landfill or is burned. The average American throws away 81 pounds of clothes every year. In fact, Americans throw away 14 million tons of clothes annually. For my mitzvah project, I'm encouraging people to donate used clothes to Planet Aid because they work to keep imperfect clothes out of the landfill. There's a bin in the parking lot here to Dot Shalom, or you can go to planetaid.org to find different ways to donate. If we all work together and do Tikkun Olam, we can help lessen the clothing waste problem and repair the world. Shabbat Shalom.
All right, take a deep breath. You did it. You did it beautifully.
Yay.
Couldn't agree more. Going to invite your uncle, great uncle, right? Uncle Chuck, who is also colleague and teacher, Chuck, Rabbi Chuck Feinberg, human rights leader, but right now a proud family member, to join me in a moment of blessing. I mostly want to bless you to hold the feeling that you have right now of accomplishment, of doing something and well, and of looking around and feeling the connection, the love, the appreciation, because you lead, because you share. The blessing is for you to keep finding your voice, the big voice. Humility is a beautiful thing. And that in Judaism, we talk about the value of humility, or anava, as taking up the right amount of space. In meetings, sometimes in covenants, we talk about step in and step back. Right? Step in enough to share what you have and don't let the world miss what you have. And then step back and let others share. You have so much to offer. My blessing for you is to step up whenever the Torah is rising in you, whenever the wisdom or that wicked dry humor or that beautiful sensitivity that you bring is ready to be expressed. We need it, and we will appreciate it. And in the future, every time you step up and share it,
you will have a microcosm of this moment, of this appreciation. So thank you for the road that you're on, and thank you for continuing to amplify your eloquent voice. Yasher koach, and looking forward to much more, right? And you're not done yet.
Yeah. Want to make a fast retreat. I understand that perfectly. Aaron, it's a great honor for me to be here at your bar mitzvah. We share something in common. We both are born in February, so I have a birthday coming up. And my bar mitzvah, the anniversary of my bar mitzvah is in 2 weeks, actually. So this month is an important month for both of us. And as I was thinking about your bar mitzvah, I was thinking about bar mitzvahs in my family, in our family, and particularly I was remembering your great grandparents, who, when I was bar mitzvah, they were really the leaders of our family, and everyone looked to them for advice and counsel. In particular, I remember your great grandmother, who was always very kind to me. I was a kid sometimes, well, let's put it this way. Our family valued being neat, and I'm not, okay? So needless to say, there was always some kind of tension around me over that particular issue. And your great-grandmother was always very kind to me. That was something that she really didn't care about with me anyway. And one memory I have is that at my brother's bar mitzvah, I was 8 years old, and I drank a lot of wine at Kiddush. And I totally got drunk and I passed out. And your great-grandmother came in and took care of me at that time. So a vague memory of that, but it's a kind of a family story, that particular event. Just the idea of making the family connections today between your ancestors and your family, and who are also my ancestors, who were wonderful people, and who were very much engaged. We very much cared about our family, and we're so committed to our family in every way. Your great-great-grandfather, my grandfather, your grandfather's grandfather, brought over the whole family. That was he brought his whole family over. He was the first one over and brought his whole family. So there's a whole sense in our family of really caring for each other and being committed to each other. And I hope that value is something that you will share too as you grow into maturity. So it's my great honor to give the blessing that Aaron gave to the Jewish people and the center of this week's Parsha. So it's really quite great that this week's Parsha centers on a man named Aaron. And it's great that I can give you a blessing as well. The Simcha Elohim Kamo Ephraim Menashe. May God bless you as he blessed Ephraim Menashe. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and protect you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May God shine his face upon you and be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God lift up his face to you, and above all, may he bless you with peace and well-being. And let us say, Amen.
Can you hear us? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi. Of course, I just needed to say, we learn from rabbis sometimes what to do, and from 8-year-old pre-rabbis, we learn sometimes what not to do. But you are stepping into a beautiful family and community, and we celebrate in full volume, not holding back, and in full extension of arm, not holding back, as we say together the blessing for reaching such a milestone. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Simen tovu, mazel tovu, mazel tovu, simen tovu, mazel tovu, simen tovu, mazel tovu, simen tovu, yehelanu. Yoshvei Teva. Yasher koach and mazel, mazel, mazel. We've also learned the aerodynamics of this particular brand of wrapped gummies. Yeah, no. But may you be showered in sweet all the days of your life. Right. So if you want to stay up as your relatives Hannah, Brian, and Levi, and Sarah, and Gali all join us, we are ready to return the Torah to the Ark. And we are on page 441. This is the moment that Jen Out and Chords of Glory have been waiting for. And the words from Proverbs that it, which originally is wisdom, and here is Torah, is a tree of life to those who hold fast to it. And all of its supporters are happy when we plug into these teachings and traditions and communities around them. We know a new layer of happiness, and we will sing together. Please rise. Etz chaim hi lamachazikim ba v'tomcheha meusha. Etz chaim hi lamachazikim ba v'tomcheha meusha. Shalom, 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 shalom. Shalom, shalom. It is a tree of life to those who hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. It is a tree of life to those who hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, 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 shalom. Harmony is here. Shalom. Right. You get to take a break, and your sister and 35 friends are about to join. So you can have a seat back there for just a little bit. Thank you. Again, thank you to Mark Pastor, our volunteer at the controls of a new system. If folks in the hinterlands were wondering why I keep looking way up there, the permanent mounted camera is again operative. So, and it's able to tilt and pan and zoom. What a world we live in. You may be seated, but we now get to expand in a moment after Pam's introduction to see the panoply of faces and souls of Jen Out and Chords of Glory.
Shabbat Shalom. For a long time, I have been dreaming of partnering Chords of Glory, whom many of you have heard sing before, with a group called Jen Out. Jen Out is the LGBTQ plus chorus, youth chorus, affiliated with the Gay Men's Chorus of DC. And we are going to present two songs today. I would say both of them are about nechama, comfort. They're both in English, and their director, the amazing Paul Hines, and I traded songs that we thought both choruses could learn pretty easily, especially in this time of COVID. And so now I invite all of the singers to take their place. Unfortunately, you will have to imagine their faces singing. But you will see, I hope, their eyes sparkling, and you will definitely hear the passion in their voices. And Dr. Hines is going to direct the first song,
which is by one of my favorite composers, Linda Hirshhorn. Many of you have heard my sister and Cantor Hazan, Rabbi Rachel, and I sing the Sim Shalom many, many times that Linda Hirshhorn wrote a long time ago. This is a recent composition that she wrote right at the start of the pandemic. It's called In These Hard Times, and the words are, in these hard times, there will always be singing. And then the second song, many of you I'm sure have heard, it's become an anthem of inclusion, of hope, of comfort. It's called How Could Anyone? And it's by Libby Roderick.
These hard times, there will always be singing, always be singing. In these hard times, in these hard times, there will always be singing, always be singing. In these hard times, in these hard times, there will always be singing, always be singing. In these hard times, in these hard times, there will always be singing, always be singing. In these hard times. Yes, there will always be singing. Yes, in these hard times. Yes, there will always be singing. Always be singing in these hard times. Yes, there will always be singing. Yes, in these hard times. Yes, there will always be singing, always be singing in these hard times. Yes, there will always be singing. Yes, in these hard times. Yes, there will always be singing, always be singing in these hard times. In these hard times, there will always be singing, always be singing in these hard times. In these hard times, there will always be singing, always be singing in these hard times. In these hard times, there will always be singing, always be singing in these hard times. In these hard times, there will always be singing, always be singing in these hard times. How could anyone ever tell you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you were less
We talked before about individual and communal, the part and the whole. Individually, you are beautiful and you are whole. And together, wow, what beauty and what wholeness. Thank you so much for all that you do and for bringing it here this morning. Thanks. Yasher koach, as we say. Thank you. We turn our memories now to those who are no longer with us, those deeply connected to our soul, where we can't share it in real time, but the influence and the connection continues on. We are still in the period of Shloshim, remembering with Kate Whiting, her mother, Isabel Duffield Whiting, with Mike and Lori Persh, Mike's mother, Doris, with Susan Goldberg, her brother, Ed Malakin, and with Dinah Leventhal, her father, Carl. We remember as well those whose yahrzeits fall from this Shabbat through next. Harvey Iglarsh's mother, Bertha, Linda Canefield's mother, Toby, Sherry Malakin's father, David Seaman, Victor Resmovic's mother, Anna, Anne Raymond's mother, Rita, Irv Greenberg's father, David, Wendy Swire's mother, Lenore Sherwin, Eileen Sorota's father, Jack Warshaw, Marta Barrison's father, Carl, Rosalie Cogan's father, Robert Morrison, David Side's father, Paul, Wendy Baber's grandfather, Robert Cohen, Jane Handler's brother, Jack Handler, Peter Richmond's mother, Anne, Gary Shore's mother, Diane, Lisa and Pam Summers' father, and Phyllis Eckos's late husband, Reginald Summers. Abe Shookman's grandfather, Sidney Brown, Jerry Kickinson's son, David, Robin Paley's grandfather, Danny Weinstein, Jennifer Gold's father, Harold, Jamie Kaplan's father, Harold, and Beth Sperberici's grandmother, Claire Winter. Anyone else commemorating a yahrzeit or experiencing a recent loss? If you'd like to put the name or names in the chat, feel free. And here, if there's anyone else, I'll invite you to rise first and say names aloud. Thank you, Abby. Okay. And now inviting all those in mourning or whose custom it is to rise at this time, page 451, Kaddish Yatom, the Mourner's Kaddish. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah. Ba'alma divra chirute v'amlich malchute b'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala uv'izman kariv imru Amen. Yehe shmei Rabba mevarach le'olam lalmei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shmei dekudsha b'richu Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata ta'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru Amen. Zichronam livracha, all of their memories for a blessing. Turn back to page 445, the last of our major prayers, that it is up to us to offer praise. And to me, that means it is up to us to lift up that which is praiseworthy. It is up to us to count blessings. It is up to us to sing to each other. How can anyone ever tell you you are anything less than beautiful or less than whole? Aleinu l'shabeach, it is up to us to do the work of praise, of building up the positivity around us. And ultimately, as it says on the third page of this prayer, letaken olam, to repair the world through all those acts. Page 445, we rise in spirit or in body.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שנתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נותן שמיים ועושה ארץ, ומשה יתגרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת, אין עוד, אין עוד.
לתקן עולם במלכות שדה. Page 449, the last three lines.
אבל ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
Thank you again to Cheryl Hurwitz, the soundtrack of our morning, together with Chords and Jen Out. Invite you to be seated for a moment as we invite Marcy Greenstein, our co-president, to join me on the bima for announcements and conferral. So Aaron, we could use you again too. And there's a lot to look forward to. Members and fellow travelers, open social solidarity for details, but a few highlights.
Okay. Aaron, mazel tov on your bar mitzvah. You really did a wonderful job, not only chanting, but teaching us. You really are a terrific teacher, and we'll carry those words with us and think about them for good time to come. We also want to say mazel tov to your immediate family, Iris, David, and Becca, and to the family near and far who have been watching this wonderful simcha this morning. Did you want me to do the honors? Okay. Well, it's nice to be with you in person so we can give you the traditional gift from the synagogue and wish you all the best in your continuing education, Jewish and otherwise, and a wonderful life going forward. Mazel tov. Oh, and the name tag, most important. This means you are an official Member of Adat Shalom. Okay. Okay. And I just want to say, in addition to our members and all of those watching with us, we hope on Social Solidarity, you'll see not only the programs that are going on here, but we will be hearing from afar from Rabbi Rachel from Israel in an interview with Jeremy Benstein. And of course, we want to remind you about the Reconstructing Judaism convention coming up in March, and we hope that you'll join us online or in person. Shabbat Shalom and Mazel Tov again.
Thank you so much, Marcy. And yes, and to underline, Rabbi Rachel sends Mazel Tov as well, and happened to land in the same town, Zichron Yaakov, as one of Israel's leading environmental and social justice thinkers, Jeremy Benstein, who will be interviewing together on Sunday, and you don't want to miss that. So, massive Mazel Tov. We are in the home stretch. In a moment, everyone who is gathered virtually will be able to join a breakout group, which is kind of like the random table in the social hall at the Oneg of Yor that you find yourself in, and you chat with whoever is there. That is your breakout room, and make sure everyone has a chance to share a little bit, either insights from the morning or just catching up on life. And next week was always planned to be remote on Zoom because we're still in the winter and it's a quiet holiday weekend. The weekend after that, if all continues to go well, we will be back in the sanctuary in some number of members, and we will continue the hybridity so that we can all gather from wherever we are, but we look forward increasingly to welcoming more of you in here as well. Much to look forward to. Page 465. Transition now toward the celebration and Shabbat lunch and Shabbat menucha and all the good stuff ahead. We rise as we're able. I have to hold it for Vishamra. I'll give it to you for the rest.
V'shamru v'nei Yisrael Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledotam berit olam
V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledotam berit olam
B'nei v'nei Yisrael oti le'olam Oti le'olam, oti le'olam, v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim va'et ha'aretz v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledotam berit olam. U'bayom hashvi'i Shabbat v'yinafash Shabbat v'yinafash
Shabbat v'yinafash v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledotam berit olam. Okay.
O ken barach Adonai et yom ha-Shabbat v'yikadshechu Savrei harai
L'chaim
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Borei peri hagafen.
Amen. You're allowed to take your mask off here. And keep it off as we say.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon. Ma yafeh hayom Shabbat Shalom. Ma yafeh hayom Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Mazel tov, good Shabbos, everyone. Thank you, and thank you. Yes.
Yay.
Big yay.